Welcome to my channel. Tonight we are going to do a classic creepypasta. Do not watch this alone. For those of you who don't know, there is a ritual in the creepypasta community where we set our videos to unlist and then try to get them to trend on the front page. Let's see if we can make this happen with a classic like Do Not Watch This Alone. The year was 1988, and I was working as a paramedic in a large American city. Late one night, around 4 a.m., the call came in. A woman had been found wandering around a subway station by herself. She called for an ambulance. We dispatched. I was the first one there, and when I got to the woman, she told me that her name was Jane and that she was fine but needed a lift home because she could unfind a taxi. I told her I could drive her home, but she said she'd rather walk, and so I let her go on her way. A few minutes later, another call came in. A woman matching Jane's description had tried to jump in front of a train and had been caught at the last second by a passerby. I rushed to the scene, and when I arrived, the woman was gone.
No.
I asked around and found out that people had seen her enter a building across from the subway station. I walked over and looked in. The lobby of the building was empty. I decided to take the stairs up to the apartment level and start knocking on doors. After about 5 minutes, I found Jane's apartment and knocked on the door. A man answered, and when I told him I was looking for Jane, he invited me in. He explained that Jane was his wife and that she had been acting strange lately. He said that he didn't think she was a danger to herself or anyone else, but since he was worried, he invited me in to search. As we walked into the apartment, I saw a rocking chair in the corner and something on the floor directly underneath the window. As I bent down to investigate, the man asked me what I was doing, and I told him I was just trying to see what kind of medication Jane might have taken. He told me that she had been prescribed some sort of antidepressants, but those were all finished now. I asked him if I could look through the medicine cabinet, and he replied, "Sure, anything to help my wife." In the cabinet, I found nothing but old expired stuff and some empty pill bottles. Next, I started asking questions about the couple's relationship, about how they met, how long they've been married, etc. His answers were slow in coming, and he seemed very nervous. At one point, he left the room and returned with a shoebox, which he opened for me. Inside were pictures of the two of them on their wedding day. They looked happy. There was also a picture of Jane and a little girl who I assumed was their daughter. I asked about the girl, and the man told me that Jane had had a miscarriage shortly after the picture was taken. "It wasn't our fault," he whispered, his eyes welling up with tears. "We lost the baby because she couldn't take the pain. She still talks about it in her sleep." I thanked him for his help and told him I was heading back downstairs. As I turned to leave, I noticed a calendar hanging on the wall. It read November 1987. I asked the man why the calendar was almost a year out of date. "Oh, I don't really know," he said. "Jane takes the calendar down every month and never puts it back up again. I guess she loses track of time." At this point, I had a bad feeling about this guy. The way he acted, the way he spoke, it all seemed off. Then I remembered the rocking chair from downstairs. I went back into the other room and sat down in it. The rocking was gentle and soothing. For a moment, I thought maybe this place wasn't so bad. Maybe Jane had just had a rough day or something, but then I heard a noise from behind me. I turned slowly to see the man standing in the doorway. In his hand was a large carving knife. It glistened in the dim light. "What do you want?" I whispered. He didn't answer. He took a step toward me, then another. I stood up and backed away, knocking over a chair in the process. The man lunged, but I sidestepped him and ran for the door. I burst out of the apartment and down the hallway. People stared at me as I ran past them. I didn't care. I didn't stop running until I reached the street. I hailed a cab and drove away as fast as I could. That was the scariest night of my life. I never saw Jane or the man with the carving knife again, but sometimes in my nightmares he still chases me down those long, dark hallways. Thanks for watching, creepypasta lovers. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button. Also, check out my podcast. Thanks. Bye.